So right now with Zach Groves, you have 8 commitments. One quarterback, Faison Brandon, which unless something crazy happens, I would imagine he will be the crown jewel of this recruiting class in 2026. I just don't see Tennessee getting another guy like that uh, in this cycle. No running backs just yet. They are pushing hard for Savion Hyder. Did have another target commit to Notre Dame, although I think he was kind of a lock there. Janaz Walton. 2 receiver commitments. You've got Tyreek King, who is from Knoxville Catholic in Tennessee's backyard, and then Tyron Evans. And then on the offensive line, you have got 1 commitment right now in Gabriel Osenda, which I neglected to mention this last week. I definitely should have mentioned it, but he has been upgraded to a 5-star. So that is 2 5-stars in Tennessee's 2026 recruiting class. Of course, he goes to the Baylor School in Chattanooga. Should also mention tight end, you have got Carson Sneed, which I don't know how firm that commitment is right now because he's been shopping in other places, and I know his brother transferred to North Carolina with Bill Belichick, and he had like 3 or 4 visits lined up this summer, and I know one of those is to North Carolina. So not entirely sure how firm Tennessee is with that one. So we'll monitor it as the summer goes on. And then 2 more you've got right now. The other defensive lineman, C.J. Edwards, who is from up in New Jersey. He committed, I believe, back in late February, early March. And then last one, linebacker Braylon Outlaw. So no defensive backs just yet for Tennessee in this cycle.
Yeah. So it's good. Like the Tennessee got another defender in this situation. Like we've seen Rodney Gardner time and time again be able to bring in good guys and plug them in wherever they need to be. And of course, we expect Tennessee to have a similar dominance from the defensive line this year, even without James Pierce. I mean, they've been able to plug in guys as it goes. So I'm sure that Zach Groves, I mean, he's going to be getting some of the best coaching in all of college football whenever he comes to Tennessee. And I think it's nice that Tennessee got another edge rusher on the roster. But it would be, I mean, with how thin the defensive back, I mean, I feel like we mention this all the time. Tennessee's been so thin at defensive back. It would be nice to see Tennessee start getting some more of those guys in the recruiting trail here soon, just to fill up the roster a little bit, because Tennessee's going to be having some players, especially at safety, or they're going to be playing a lot this next season, and they can't really afford any injuries from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will. Again, you got, 2 or 3 more months really to get whoever you want in this recruiting cycle. Not to say that you can't get guys during the football season, but it usually kind of starts to wind down as football season begins with these guys. But I would imagine you'll get one sometime in the next couple months at DB and maybe a running back too. We'll see what Tennessee does there. And then a couple other things I wanted to mention with recruiting. This happened a while back. Tyson Bacon, the defensive lineman, he decommitted from Tennessee. He is not committed anywhere else, but it was one of those deals where you commit somewhere, you get a rise in your rankings, suddenly other people are interested in you that weren't before, and now you want to give them a look. So again, don't know how firm his commitment, or well, he's decommitted, but I don't know if he'll recommit to Tennessee. He is out of, I believe, Hoover, Alabama. And then one more that Tennessee is actually trending for right now is offensive lineman Kamari Blair, who is a 4-star tackle, and another guy from the mid-state as well. We just talked about Zach Groves, who committed to Tennessee. He is from Cross Plains, which is up in Robertson County, just north of Nashville. Kamari Blair, he plays for Kirkwood High School in Clarksville, so another mid-state guy. And it's interesting because it couldn't have been more than a month to maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago that Tennessee offered Blair a scholarship. Now he's not only listed them in his top options, but there was an event this weekend. I think it's 865 Live was the name of it. And I think that really made Tennessee a contender. I think he had a really good experience there. just from some of the different recruiting services and their intel. So sounds like Tennessee may be getting another commitment on the offensive line soon. We just don't know when exactly.
And that's another position of need as well. I mean, we've mentioned it a couple of times on the podcast over the past few weeks about how Tennessee's missing 4 out of their 5 starting offensive linemen from last season. So, of course, going to need to be filling depth on that end as well. Of course, Tennessee's got some people to be excited about this year, like with David Sanders coming in. We'll see how he ends up playing, if he ends up getting the start, which it's looking like he probably will at some point in the season. So it would be good getting another offensive lineman, and Osenda too. I mean, we mentioned that he got bumped up to a 5-star recently, and he's a pretty big guy too.
Yeah.
If I'm not
I believe 6'7", 320 was the number on him.
Yeah, and we're talking about someone that's like a junior in high school or just finished up like their junior year in high school. So I mean, he's only going to get bigger, get better in shape. Really phenomenal size to be playing in the SEC. So if Tennessee can keep getting guys like him, which I know is like easier said than done, then I think Tennessee will be in good position moving forward. But it would be nice to see Tennessee be able to get some more studs on the offensive line, like tight ends, some of these defensive backs, something that we haven't really seen much from Tennessee in a while. Not, at least not compared to years past.
Yeah, and again, we'll find out with Carson Snead here pretty soon, I would think, how committed he is, because, again, he is shopping elsewhere, and his brother just transferred out to North Carolina. But he was, I believe, the second commitment, either second or third commitment in this cycle, right behind Faison Brandon. So he was a big one that Tennessee got at that point in the cycle. Another mid-state kid as well, Donaldson Christian Academy, which is just east of Nashville. But yes, offensive line, you need all the help you can get there. You want to try and stack some depth there if you can. And again, and you mentioned it with Osenda, it helps when these guys are in your home state too, and your football program is on the right track, just because there are several years where Tennessee just had some guys get poached from within its borders. And really the only one that was able to kind of shut that down was Butch Jones, it felt like, and some very, very talented players he got here, especially from the mid-state. It's just a shame that those teams only amounted to as much as they did, because they had all kinds of potential. But Jeremy Pruitt and Derek Dooley, you did not see that as much, which is something I feel like you really need to strive for as a football program, is trying to control the controllables, to borrow a Coach Speak saying. But like sometimes Tennessee can get players out of other states, but it's not that program's first pick. Like Georgia, for example, they will always have the first pick of who they want out of the state of Georgia. Tennessee will get what was left behind in a lot of cases, not all the time. Although I guess Georgia did take somebody out of Tennessee this year that was a pretty big one, but Faison Brandon was already committed to Tennessee, so it didn't really matter with Jared Curtis committing to Georgia. But again, always helps to land these guys if they are in your state. It's a stronger connection, and I think it's a big part of the reason why guys like Boo Carter and Arian Carter have stuck around for years after they have committed. I know that's kind of sad to say now, just because of the transfer portal, but I feel like there's a greater tie to the state if you are from the state.
Yeah, you would hope that you'd be able to keep some of the players that have been like living in Tennessee their whole lives. I'm sure it would be easier to convince a player to stay if they've like lived in like Murfreesboro or something their whole life, and just Tennessee's all they ever knew. But like, of course, there's outliers like Jacoby Thomas. So like we saw how he left out and how he like has lived in the Tennessee area his whole life, but is now going to Miami now. So it doesn't always mean everything just because they're from the state of Tennessee, but it would be nice to see Tennessee start to get some of those bigger guys. Like I know Tennessee got George McIntyre, which I think was huge for them. If they can keep getting some of the top recruits like that out of the state of Tennessee, I think it would be good for the team, not only like for chemistry, because a lot of these guys know each other in the area, but then also like being able to retain these players like we've mentioned. So hopefully Tennessee can be able to get the top recruits like that, because I mean, Of course, they are good recruits from like Texas and like Florida and everything. But I mean, you got Florida State, you got Miami, you got the Florida Gators down there. And then in like Texas, you got all of those Texas teams. I mean, it's not easy getting recruits from those states that already have big programs there to begin with. So Tennessee going in their backyard and getting good guys could be beneficial in the future if they can lock it down and keep teams like Clemson out of here, which I know Clemson's tried poaching some of these Tennessee in-state guys. So if Tennessee can get that locked down, I mean, it's only going to help them moving forward.
Yeah. And Tennessee too. Like I know there are a lot of good football prospects in the state. There's not as many as some of the ones to the south of us. And some of Tennessee's greatest players have come from those states. But again, there is a stronger tie with a lot of those in-state guys. Like here recently, Jawan Jennings, Trey Smith, and we can go back a long time with this too. Guys like Al Wilson,
Andy
super
Kelly.
strong. Yeah, super strong connection with the in-state guys. It's just a stronger bond, it feels like, than you could ever get with some of these out-of-state guys.
Yeah, and then they become beloved by the university too. And I've always wondered, I mean, I guess less so with NIL, players can get paid no matter what. But back in the day, I used to always wonder, why not stay for a senior year? Like if you're not so certain that you're going to make it in the NFL, like maybe you'll get like spend 2 years on a practice squad and be done. And then like you made a little bit of money then, but if you stay like for your senior year, sometimes you'll be a legend forever. I mean, even some of these players that didn't even pan out so much at Tennessee, like some of the ones that just stuck around and just like stayed on the team. I mean, they'll be able to get any free drink from any bar they want in the Knoxville area. Like I'm sure people just you get free things left and right, or at least that's what I would imagine. I mean, at least that's the way a lot of fans seem to treat a lot of these former Tennessee players, like putting them in high regard. And especially if you're a workhorse at the university as well, like someone like Jawan Jennings, who is always going to be beloved by Vols fans just because of how he gave 110% effort every time he was on the field. So I think there's something to be said about players that stay like that.